So let's see, my favorite Transformer toy line, my favorite color. Yeah, this probably can't go wrong. So yeah, as you probably know by random reviews past, I love the Cybertron toy line, and this is a big reason why. We can get really cool futuristic designs that make no practical sense, but hey, they make an awesome toy, so who cares? So let's take a look at Voyager class Crumplezone, a pretty huge Voyager toy by today's standards. He is huge, big, chunky, and very, very solid in every way conceivable. This guy is something. Take a look at that vehicle design. That is something you just do not get in Transformers these days. He is a very futuristic dragster type vehicle. Three-wheeling, one big central wheel, two rear wheels. That's a good way of flipping over, you know. You don't really have the balance in order to do that. But hey, when he's this big, maybe that doesn't matter. I love these massive turbines, these massive jet engines that he's got, whatever you want to call them. Absolutely huge. You can see the molded fan detailing in there too. Well, you can if the light will actually cooperate with me. So these massive turbines, thrusters, whatever, I don't care. They look awesome, and this thing looks like it could go a bajillion miles an hour. It is epic. I love this vehicle. It is so unique. So, moving on to the things that are more obvious, you get the toy mostly cast in a dark shade of green with a bit of a metallic flake element to it, as well as some off-white and a lot of highlights in very vibrant green. Very striking shade of green against all of the dark, more olive green coloring. Along with that, you have bronze detailing that goes from the front to the head, where the headlights are, down here to the sides, as well as a few other points of interest, including these exhaust pipes, which I'm pretty sure that's not a large enough exhaust pipe for this thing. I'm just saying. And you also have that on the inside of the wheels, which, true to any of the Speed Planet members of the Cybertron toy line, are translucent, which in this case is blue, which is a nice hit of color to give the toy a little bit more variety. You can see that in the cockpit as well, where yes, there is an actual seat molded inside. And don't tell me that's for a Minicon. Don't tell me that's for a Minicon. He's got no Minicon ports. No, I don't buy the excuse that Unicron's little cell children are accounted for in the design of Transformers vehicles, especially from a different planet. No, this is another case of, I don't know why a Decepticon has a cockpit for a human. I don't know. It's not like you're hiding or disguising yourself in this mode of any kind. So, yes, let's see what else we have here. I like the engine detailing here in the back. It kind of blends in with the Cyber key slot toward the back, and it's painted up in both a lot of vibrant green and the off-white, and there is the Decepticon sigil brandished proudly on top of his, what will end up being his lower back, actually. There's not a whole lot more going on besides that. I do like all the heavy detail molding. Lots of little intricate spots here and there. Let's see. Let's go ahead and demonstrate gimmick. And you'll excuse me because this one is a little bit difficult to actually pull off. So we do have the red Speed Planet. What do you call it? Velocitron or Speedia. It is the same. VJ40. So he is the 40th VJ that MTV has hired. Bravo. So let's see. We need to use the slot here in the back. You'll notice these fins that keep flipping down on me. They don't stay very secure, but that's by design, because they will flip out on their own once I do this. Now, bear with me because this is a rather tight connection. I'm not sure how easily this is going to work. Come on. There we go. And it didn't get the sound effect because it was so hard to... I'm not going to there because someone will clip that noise. So, but let's go ahead and get the key all the way in. I like that sound effect. It's just vaguely power up and very much like I just armed the biggest laser I could find. And these are some pretty big lasers. So yeah, the Cyber Key gimmick flips those big thrusters over into massive front-facing cameras. And of course you do notice he does have a pair of missiles that can fire out upon command. This is epic. Like, this kind of takes me back to like the Energon like hyper modes where it's supposed to be like a third mode or a different vehicle entirely sometimes. That's definitely what I've got going on here. You could convince me that this was an attack jet now, especially the dark Crumplezone remold where you've got a lot more wings going on. But for now, this is just a super epic and very, very well armed roadster. I would imagine he'd lose speed going, switching these to weapons, but hey, it looks cool, so I'm not going to argue it. And it's a very cool gimmick. I will say, these cannons are really, really heavy, so this spring gimmick does have a tendency to wear out easily. Mine still flip forward, which is luck more than anything. So, yeah, really, really dig that. So I'll flip those back, lock them back into place, and we'll go ahead and get on with our lives. And by that, I mean get on with transforming this guy. I'm going to start by popping the sides off. He actually uses his actual fist holes as part of the transformation element. That's rather economical. We can move these out to the side and adjust the arms so they are out of the way and distinctly arm-shaped, as arms tend to be. So, down to the front, where we'll pop these out from the front tire and fold this whole section all the way down, and we're starting to see the robot now. Click that into place, flip the feet down, nice solid feet. From here, a lot of folding in, so we will go ahead and split this open so I can get that head down like that. That leaves space for the tire. And now we will fold the whole thing down into place to create a solid chest. Flip that back down, and with that, it's just nothing left but to straighten out the arms and call it a robot mode. And hopefully I have this framed right because this guy's a tall guy. Yeah, that's not bad. And that is our Crumplezone in his full, very apish robot mode. This is where I kind of get flack a lot for saying, well, it's, when I review something like Revenge of the Fallen RC, or say Revenge of the Fallen Demolish, or a lot of Revenge of the Fallen, another thing, but where I get a lot of criticism because, no, you just don't like toys that are different. You don't like robot modes that are non-standard. I do. I like different. I like original. I like different thought in the Transformer, and this definitely has a different thought going on. This guy had the big green oaf character down well before we ever got to Bulkhead. And he definitely has that unique gorilla-like proportion to him that gives him some visual character all his own without even, like, needing much else. Like, you kind of get the idea of who this guy is just from his design. And that definitely does include his Trapjaw-esque face. Big green maw, almost said silver, that would be dumb. Bronze in the face, green on the crest, even a tiny little bit of, tiny little bit, to the point where I can't even tell if it's intentional, but it looks correct, so I'm going to say it is. But yeah, he's definitely got that, very kind of like Jaws from, not Jaws so much from James Bond, but James Bond Jr., That's an obscure reference. Hopefully someone out there gets it. But for the most part, yeah. I dig this robot mode and all the things that make it the special little butterfly that it is. So he's got a very interesting proportion to him. But as a big brute of a character, this absolutely works. This works as a big brute character in a way that Demolishor from Energon did not. You know, just having a wide chest and beating it every now and then does not make you a brute. This guy, he is a Hulk. And I don't just mean that because of color. He's got all the proportions I need to be convinced he is a dangerous, dangerous guy. So you will notice, yes, it's Cybertron, so you won't find many parts that have actually been hollowed out. It's all very solid, multi-screw, multi-component construction all around. It's extremely nice to see. And man, yes, I'm with you. I wish it was that way still, but I understand modern costs are not what they used to be. But for the time, this was exceptional and so solid. Get a little bit of extra green going on here. All that detail from the front of the vehicle forms the chest, which works perfectly fine. A little bit more white going through. And I kind of like how this kind of forms like a faux abdomen detail. So he's kind of got a six-pack going, even though he's got a big cockpit stuck in the middle. There's always part of me that's thinking to myself, like, that'd be like the weirdest Starscream repaint of all time. But, man, it would be kind of funny now that I think of it. The detailing is kind of simple going through here. Not a lot of heavy molded lines, just enough to make his various parts interesting. And you do have a lot of leftover bits from the vehicle mode. I do like some of the inner detailing that's been molded into the arms and such. That kind of works for me. Some exposed machinery. So, beyond that, he doesn't really have any accessories of any kind. Cybertron kind of lived and died by its big gimmicks, and this guy was kind of meant to be a big brute, so all he really needs are those giant Popeye arms of his in order to actually be a threat. But, of course, we can make him a bit more of a threat. We'll go ahead and use the key again. And now the same gimmick that made him the threat of all twisted metal courses has now also given him gigantic over-the-shoulder missile launchers, which I like. I like dual-use gimmicks like that. I like that it works that well in both modes. That is a fairly well-designed gimmick. And yes, it does create a rather large backpack for all of it, plus the sound box, but is it really interfering with the toy in any way? I don't think it is. For example, we still have our full range of head articulation. We have a little bit of jaw articulation. That's kind of cool. I like that. We have this joint at the torso to raise the shoulders, as well as an outward universal joint here. Not quite the range that I would look for, but that's where that torso hinge comes in handy. Bicep and forearm rotation, plenty of range there, as well as a very nice elbow. Nothing at the wrist. Let's see, the waist does have a rotation. You can hear a little bit of ratcheting in there to make it nice and solid. See, speaking of, oh, the age of ratchet joints. Wasn't it a beautiful thing? So you got universal joints at the hips that work great, a knee swivel, a 90-degree knee that's nicely, oh, so nicely clicky. And then you have the feet, which are pretty old school. There isn't even a tilt to them to stand him at a more natural angle, but he does have the right shape where you can open his legs and actually get a good pose out of him too. So thanks to that, and thanks to his feet being so large in the first place, he actually does have a good balance and a good base to him, so you can stand him pretty well without any real issue. So he really doesn't have that much issue with that huge gimmick hanging off of his back. That, my friends, is Cybertron Crumplezone. Definitely a unique figure for the time. Still a very unique figure. I do have only minor issues with him. That being how vulnerable his gimmick is to wearing down, as well as these. I understand they are loose in order to auto-transform when you flip out the cannons, but they are so loose to the point where it just kind of gets annoying watching them flip around while you're playing with the toy. So that can get a little bit frustrating. But beyond that, he is a unique figure that still manages to do everything a good action figure should do and wraps up in a very, very cool vehicle mode. All around, extremely solid toy. In every way I could mean those words. This is one of my favorites.